you guys do a brief introduction of your names, your role on Warrior 9, and a little bit about your background?
Sure. Kai, you want to start?
You're the boss, so you start.
Oh, you. Okay. Hey, I'm Lee Huang. I'm from Germany. I'm working in the stunt industry for over 10 years for now. And on Warrior Nun, I was lucky enough to be the stunt coordinator and also to be in charge to build a team. And about myself, what else? Since 2017, I'm part of the Jackie Chan stunt team and work with him on a bunch of movies. And yeah, I think that's all to say. Unless you have more questions.
Yeah, that's the interview done now. Thanks.
Hey, my name is Kai Fung Rieck. I'm also from Germany, and I'm working in the stunt industry since I think 15 years now. I started quite early. I was the fight coordinator on the show, so my part was to design all the fight sequences and train the team, train the casts. My background is martial arts, so this is my big thing, and I always wanted to be part of an amazing crew who had the same passion like me. And on Warrior Nun, it was like, a dream came true for all of us, I think.
How did you get involved with Warrior 9?
I started working with Cuco, who is the Spanish stunt supervisor from the show, on the show the same year before. It was called In From the Cold. So we were working together, and then he asked me if I'd like to help him out on Warrior Nun. And that's how I met Cuco and how I got into this position. Then he said, I can choose my team. And obviously, because I know Kai from the very beginning when I started to move over to Berlin, and we worked for several years now together. So he was my first choice. And I knew right away that I would call him to help me out on this. And we brought all our friends over, basically. At some point, the production said, no more Germans, it's enough. Hey, also some other people. That's how it all started.
Cool. So you guys obviously got to create your own little dream team of stunt coordinators and stunt doubles.
We're training all the time together, and we shoot our own little videos, and then we find each other on sets here, mainly in Berlin together. The first time I worked with Kai was actually in India.
Oh my god.
Like there's a story there now that you've alluded to, but we'll let it slide maybe. Might come back.
Funny memories. Actually, we found the team. We asked all the doubles from the first season, but actually all of them were not available. So our first choices, let's say, were all busy. So we asked the second choice, the third choice, and then sometimes somehow we found people on Instagram, like Joe and Vanessa, who are like the doubles for Ava and Beatrice. And after bringing them in, we knew that we have to train them like more than the other doubles, let's say. And but for me right now, they would be my first choice.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing about the season or about the series was that we all found ourselves, to be honest, the very first time in these positions on such a big scale. So for me, it was a pretty big opportunity. For Kai, for Mirko, who was a double for Jack, and so also like for the girls that Kai just mentioned. And I think that was also from our side what made the show so great, because we're all pretty hyped. We wanted to give our best. I hope it worked.
I think it showed. No, I think it definitely showed up in the end result. Really, really, really did, because as I said, the action sequences in season 2 were phenomenal, and we're excited to kind of delve into them a bit more, I think. Do you want to ask the first question, Adrian?
Sure. What's the concept for a scene? Does it, from concept to production, how does that flow?
So how it all started was that we got the script, and then we read through the script, we mark our parts, and then we discuss the parts, what we think, what our ideas also. I mean, in the script, pretty much most of the things are written out like what they want, and then we talk and think about also what we have in mind. And on Warrior Nun, it was pretty great that Simon, who is the showrunner, he really had an open ear for everything. and he was listening to everything. And sometimes, of course, he says, maybe it's a bit too much, but many times he was like, okay, that's a great idea, let's go for that. So yeah, usually we read the script, then we mark our lines, we talk about it together, and then I, for example, on my part said, okay, I want to have that stunt in there, and then Kai said, okay, he's building in that stunt in his fight choreography, and that's how we build it up. And I remember the first meeting we had was for the Lilith fight in the dungeon.
Mhm. Yeah.
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 We read the script, and the night before, Kuku was calling me, say, hey, we have the meeting, can you like do a little compilation of what you think would be in there? And then Kai and I, we pretty much knew, okay, how it reads. We want to have like a scene that she's a bit like Wolverine, like Logan in the last movie, especially in the beginning when he's fighting against the guys who are trying to hijack his car. So where he's like finally using his claws and ripping an arm off and really killing those guys. And then another part we wanted to combine is the Nightcrawler. It was pretty much also written in the script like that she's teleporting, but in that meeting we definitely wanted to go for to make sure that it's the Nightcrawler and Wolverine combined in one thing, to have the brutality and also the rhythm and the ability to jump from one place to another.
Yeah, because that was a super technical fight scene, and
Yeah,
I heard the first time watching it, and it was, I very much was like, this is like the Nightcrawler teleporting in the White House in X-Men 2. So I was like, but then obviously we know David Hayter is involved, and he was involved with X-Men. So
that was quite a task. I mean, Kai Hannes, he was Kai's assistant, and I with so many headaches.
Oh my God, yeah, because they told us we want to shoot with the bolt arm that was like the camera robot, but none of us had ever shot with this camera before. So we didn't know how it worked. They just gave us like a YouTube clip how the camera works for like 10 seconds, and that's it. And then I remember Hannes and me sitting in the workshop and thinking about the fight sequence to build up like a previs what we can show the production. And I had very like sleepless nights because I had nightmares of this scene, because they wanted like a one taker, and because for us it was never planned as a one taker. And but thanks to the team, I have the feeling now with this team I don't have to fear anything, because everyone has everyone's back, and that was a very good experience.
yeah, I mean, I think the end result showed how much love and like dedication you put into getting that right.
And even with a VFX team, yeah, they were like super helpful. Yeah.
I'm curious, what, as you said, you never worked with the Bolt camera before. So how did you go about approaching that particular fight scene? Because I assume you probably had to approach it quite differently to standard kind of fight scenes, knowing that there was going to be visual effects involved. There was going to be the Bolt action arm. It was going to be a oneer, or made to look like a oneer, because there was probably maybe cuts in there that were hidden due to visual effects and stuff like that. So I guess, how did you guys go about like approaching that scenario?
You want, or shall I?
You go.
Okay, actually, to be honest, there's not a single cut.
Okay,
it's
cool.
all layers. So the camera is one movement, but it's like, I think we shot 15 different layers. So actually, technically, there's no cut. It's just about, yeah.
I mean, yeah. So it's like, let's say you see 15, let's say 15 takes at the same time.
Yeah, put on top of each other.
Okay, I get you. Yeah.
Ooh, how did it all start? I remember in COVID, my balcony, like, so we all had to go in quarantine before we started. So my balcony was right underneath from the DOP's balcony, Chris Lavasseur. And we became friends during the quarantine time. And he's like, hey, I heard about this board arm. I don't know, you want to use it? And he sent me specs down. And we talked every day from balcony to balcony. And then we were going through the specs, and he was showing them to me. And then when we were finally out of the workshop, we went with the VFX, with the production, with everyone who was involved in the creative process. We went over to the workshop, and then we tried out the bolt arm with the programming and what is the bolt arm capable to do. And from then on, we were talking about the specs in the workshop, and then Kai and Hannes tried to figure out, okay, which move looks cool because the bolt arm, obviously we only used one track and we cannot really go into top shot. It's a bit like limited in it's amazing. It has like a lot of advantages, but at the same time you're super limited. And yeah, that was the challenge there to do.
Yeah, I think sometimes limitations can you can grow great ideas from limitations, because it's obviously forcing you to think outside the box a bit. So it was a very cool fight scene, especially at the end of the first episode. It really kind of set the pace for season 2, I think.
And that was really great, because in the script it was written to be in
episode 2 too. Episode 2, it was episode 2. Yeah.
So also for us, we watched it as like great cliffhanger for the first episode.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was so
but
good.
also shout out there to Sarah Walker, she was the director for the first 2 episodes. That also she was super open for all our ideas. That was great.
Yeah.
So was this one basically they told you what they wanted and then you presented your ideas?
They just told us they want to have like the bolt arm, and the bolt arm should be like a oneer, and what it would be, how brutal it was. That was all like brainstorming and then represented. I remember I was creating with Hannes Tanya. She was the double for Lilith, and the other girls, like overkills, very brutal, like Mortal Kombat stuff kills. And it started as a joke, and then I remember that the production team came into the workshop, and then we presented our ideas, like to kill them very brutally, and somehow they liked it. And then we thought, okay, maybe let's try this. Let's try. It was never written that brutal. It was just what we thought would be funny, but it started as a joke idea. Yeah, let's say.
Yeah, Kai was
In
like,
the end,
can we rip the spine off? He's like, yeah, sure, we can.
Yeah. It was like a joke.
Very Mortal Kombat-esque, pulling spines out of bodies. So yeah, it's definitely Mortal Kombat vibes there. All right.
But yeah, I mean, what Lee said before, like in the script, some parts were specific written, and some parts are really like we had the freedom to create our own like ideas, and then we shoot a previous, and we show it to production, and then they tell us, okay, maybe a little less like this, or it's completely wrong, or exactly like this. And somehow all our previous were like always in a good direction. Our first draft was always like a good direction, and then in the end the production gave us so much trust. Was just incredible. Yeah, thanks, Simon.
I think we've all the interviews that have been going on the last like couple of months now, the thread or the continuous thread is that Simon and the rest, like Sarah and stuff like that, have all been super open to a very collaborative production or collaborative set. So it's awesome to hear that you guys felt the same, that they were very much open to your creative ideas and your creative input, and
it's like not very common.
Yeah.
Really, and the great thing is that he really gave every department, not only us, like you said, and like you already heard, he gave every department the freedom to do what like every department thinks is the right thing. And in the end, if he sees, okay, it's going a bit off the trail, then he's bringing the sheep back. But I think that's a great way to do, like to come to a creative conclusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Barbara said in a recent interview that you guys worked seamlessly together with her team.
Yes.
Can you give us an example of why you had to work together?
So, for example, well, where to start? So many things, because Barbara's department is also responsible, for example, for the props. So whenever we say, okay, we need this kind of weapon soft, then we talk to her or to one of her department. But so that's one part where we really work closely together, but also mainly, if there was any location and we needed it like to be padded. I know we were pain in the ass for Barbara, because we always said, okay, there we need something, paint a padded floor, there we need something, there we need to drill a hole in the wall. And yeah, but Barbara is luckily super lovely, and I worked with her on the show before, and yeah, it was a really amazing workflow with her. But when she's giving us the draft of her set, then we mark in the drafts, okay, maybe this obstacle is a bit too dangerous for us. Maybe can we change it? Like something stupid, like maybe the edge is too sharp. Maybe we can round it a little bit. Or at the final fight with Adriel in what was it? Yeah, with Adriel in the Adriel's Cathedral, when she's fighting down there against him and Lilith. The floor was a bit too slippery, so we say, hey, can you check that again? Can we have it a bit rougher so they're not falling off the ramp?
Wow.
Yeah. So there are many little details, and some of them you so we have many meetings, so we talk in the meeting room, and sometimes you come on set and there's a small detail that you couldn't think of, you didn't think of, and you come there, and with this team, it was really great. Doesn't matter what department, but everyone was working so quick on a solution that even if we found something on the set, it was just like really working like a clockwork together, that they found a solution.
What kind of time frame did you have to develop these fight sequences for like episode 1?
Okay,
that
guys,
was
to you.
that was really tough, because I remember after quarantine, we had like 8 days quarantine. Yeah, they gave us like at the end of the week, they want to see the first previews. So we came together, and the team was kind of new. No one, just Lee, me, Mirko, and Hannes were like close friends, so we work a lot together. But the other guys, like say Tanya, Vanessa, Joe, even our Spanish guys, Martin and Willie, we haven't met them before, so we worked with them the first time. And to build something in like the first week without knowing each other so good was very, very tough. So,
and most of them weren't there in the first week, so we had to.
Oh, I remember. Yeah,
we had to give.
We had
God.
Like the first fight in episode 1, when Ava and Beatrice fights against these street thugs. These were like, I think in total like 10 people, and we were only 5 people in the workshop. So how can we mark a fight with 10 people? So we put on like yellow and red tricots, and then we start to build up groups, and everyone plays everyone. Even our doubles played thugs at the same time, and yeah, it was very confusing. So the schedule to finish a previs was super tough. So let's say a week we had to finish like 1 or 2 previs each week. And later when we started shooting, we still had to prep the next episode. So it was not, the first weeks were like started tough, but it was getting tougher and tougher and tougher, because the first 6 weeks were only like preps. And then after 6 weeks, we started shooting and prepping at the same time. Then we trained the actors, and then the actors had like wishes. We asked the actors, hey, what do you want to show? Is there a specific move you want to do? Like let's say Alba, she likes the head spin, and she really wanted to like do like the superhero fighting style, because she said in season 1 she hadn't the opportunity to fight so cool. So let's say she wanted a lot of things. So, and our goal was we didn't want to be the limitation for the actors or for the show. So we should support everyone and make the best out of our situation. So yeah. So we put like a lot of work in there, and I think we had like 10-hour days, and yeah, every day 10 hours training and prepping, and yeah, it was tough.
On that, so obviously you've just said that you take inspiration from what the actors were saying they wanted to do, but how do you decide the capability and the fighting styles of the characters themselves? Is that like a separate like, how does that go down?
So normally we start our basic routine training. It was, I think, at 9. So the stunt team came in at, stunt team came in at 9, and the actors always came in at 10. So let's say the stunt team preps the gym, we train, we warm up, and then the actors came for like 1 or 2 hours. And because of COVID, first it was planned that every actor should come like 2 times a week only for training. I think after the first training, Alba already said, okay, I want to come tomorrow. I want to come every day and so long as possible. And so basically we said, okay, if the cast wants to train, so come in and train. but we also said because we are super busy, so we will not go easy on them. So we will, if they're not good, we will tell them. If you want to do everything, you have to train everything. I always said, if you want to be a superhero, train like a superhero. Or it's okay if you don't want to train, but then you get doubled. No problem at all. But I think everyone was like super into it, and everyone was into the mood for training and give everything. And yeah, I think it's sore every day. Every day they were sore, but they still came to the training. It was so much fun. And after seeing their passion and their hard work, we could easily decide for which move they're capable of or what is too much. So let's say that's it.
And who did you find, just when you said the actors were, you're either want to train or you'll be doubled kind of thing, but it seems that everyone, Alba, Christina, Jack and all like that seemed very enthusiastic about doing their own stunts. So kind of a two-parter, what percentage of the shots ended up being the actor doing their own stunts, and what percentage was the stunt double themselves?
I would say
90.
Yeah, I
90,
think
yeah.
90% were the actors. Really, they did.
Yeah.
I think pretty much you could say everything that's on a wire, not even that is true, but most of the things that are on a wire, there are some hard hits, like in the fight where Kai is also involved. We have the thing where Miguel is running towards him and he's giving a good punch and he's flying. That, for example, was Mirko. So the things where we really say, okay, they're dangerous. Obviously, we use a stunt guy, but as Kai said, the actors were so motivated and they were capable of doing at least 90% of their own action.
Especially Jack, he wanted to do this hit. I think he wanted to do this hit. He was like, please give me the hit. Which yeah, but it's not clear in the background and you don't need to, but I want to do this. I want to do this.
Irish are well able to take a hit, so I'm not surprised. And the other thing, I suppose, as well, as I said, the enthusiasm from the cast in wanting to do the stunts and stuff like that. Who did you find, maybe you don't want to pick a favorite or anything, but who did you find had the most was most adept at picking up the stunt fighting and the stunt choreography? Like, obviously we know Christina has a kind of a dance background, so we wonder, obviously, kind of maybe between her and Alba, who picked it up quicker, or you felt was a little bit better, or was everyone had their kind of their pros and their cons with when it came to learning the stunts?
So it's always hard to say who's better, who's not. So there's no right and wrong, you know, it's more like differences between styles. And of course, Beatrice, the character Beatrice, is way more technical than Ava. So we try to give Beatrice, or like Christina, the more difficult movements. So let's say Christina had tougher choreos, but at the same time, Alba was so hard to herself and training, giving everything. I remember on our off days, because she was so busy, she asked me, hey, can we train Sunday, Saturday in the park? So we went to the park and trained like in a public park, our choreos. And yeah, it's hard to say. So I would say everyone was different, but everyone gave their best, and we really enjoyed to work with everyone. So
Also,
there was
Tristan
none actor.
William.
Oh my God, Tristan! Yeah, Tristan.
Yeah.
That was
Tristan,
a crazy story.
There
was the fight between Father Vincent and Miguel in the night in the street, right? And there was a fight like unclear in the background because the camera was on behind Ava, and Tristan was marking the fight for that Alba can react. Sorry, no, the camera was on Alba's face, yeah, and he was marking the fight that she can react to it. And then he really fall to the ground that she can see him falling, but it's Tristan. It's not the stunt double, it's Tristan. And for us as a time, there was no preps. There was the ground was hard, and he just fall against the ceiling and fall down to the knees and still did the fight. And we thought, what the fuck? That was very, very inspiring, very inspiring. So after this day, for me, Tristan is like, oh my God, this guy is amazing. Yeah.
We'll love that answer.
Yeah.
Who was more excited to do the Vincent Michael fight? Was it Jack or Tristan?
I think Jack was always super hyped. It's very hard to say, but Jack in general, with every fight scene, he was super hyped. I remember when we did the walkthrough for the production for the fight scene in the church, he was going nuts.
Oh my God, yeah.
And so
He
when he's
killed
doing
the stunt guys.
double takedown.
Yeah,
You guys cut out for me for a second, so apologies if this question was asked while you guys were frozen for me. But just you mentioned before when we were talking about Beatrice's more technical choreography versus Alba's or Ava's. How did you find, because we know, or we can gleam or kind of figure out that Beatrice obviously trained Ava in the show without obviously seeing it. So you see certain moves that are obviously moves that you see Beatrice do. So you obviously know that she showed Ava these moves. So how did you go about making Ava look like she has her slightly own style, but also that there is mirrors of it from kind of B's choreography?
I think we started to train all the same drills. We made like a little drill choreo. The was just for the training, and then we slightly changed the rhythm for the moves. So not even the moves, just the rhythm. So it was not pop up was for like Christina, and pop was for Ava. So and then we changed it like this. So we went there really like with the rhythm change, but with the same moves, and then automatically. Sorry.
We also really looked into the character of the two of them. Like Beatrice, obviously, we also wanted to do a lot of fan service to the first season. So with some of the moves for Beatrice, like when she's ending the fight, the hallway fight, that she has the same ending pause, like in the first season. And like you said, Ava is trained by her, but she's having her own character. She's like very stubborn, and we wanted to really mirror that in the choreography. That sometimes she can be technical, but then sometimes she's just going for it.
You mentioned there obviously the Bees whole fight scene in season 2. It's clearly a direct callback, as you said, kind of fan service to the whole fight scene in season 1, which I think solidified everyone's love for Bee and her being obviously a badass. So obviously when you approach the season 2 whole fight scenes or scene, her motivations are very different in that scene. One was for duty in season 1 and love and trying to save Ava in season 2. So how did you guys go about approaching the season 2 whole fight scene after knowing that you've done season 1 and kind of changing it, but still having callbacks, but still making it unique in its own right?
So I think first of all, we didn't do season 1.
Yeah.
So there was a completely different team.
That as I asked
Ashley Beck, right?
And there was Ashley Beck, yeah. And so I remember in the script was written should be like a homage on season 1 hallway fight, but this fight in season 2 should be what was it written? Season 1 fight should look like a kindergarten party or something.
Yeah.
Compared to this one, that was just a note, and then we said, okay, what is that note? What should we do? And then I remember we watched.
Her bow staff had the changes with the blades, so we already knew we can be a bit more brutal, especially after doing the Lilith fight.
Yeah, and then but to make this fight way more epic, we looked at season 1 and we thought, okay, actually the season 1 fight is already pretty good. So how can we make it look like a kindergarten party compared to the season 2? And it was very tough. And actually, I was super nervous when we shot this fight, and but I think the teamwork was what we said before. Everyone got everyone's back, and we helped each other. So even because Lee or me was like we are the heads of this team, it's not mean that we are responsible for everything ourselves. So the whole team was behind us, cheering us up, and that was just a good feeling. I remember then when we created the scene. Everyone was helping, and everyone learned the whole choreography that everyone can mark it, because all our doubles were shooting. And So everyone was capable of doing the Beatrice hallway fight in the end, from the girls, let's say. And yeah, that was
Big shout out to Joe there, our double for Beatrice, because also she had to do the fight with almost like with a blindfold. Like
Yeah,
Kai
yeah.
had the idea also to train it, but to rehearse it blindfolded, and
crazy.
that was amazing.
I do wonder how practical that skill is, but it's too cool to not have her wear it. So style over practicality, I guess.
He was not completely blind, but yeah, it's definitely quite a task to do that.
Yeah.
Because it was very dark. It's really dark. It was like, it was no really light, and then you have this bandage over your eyes. It's crazy. Yeah.
Can I just ask, because this is sort of related to the hallway scene, and you're talking about rhythm in the fight. So do you know what song or the music that will be playing over a fight scene when you're like in the stages of choreographing it? Because obviously there was the like epic Ave Maria over the fight scene in the corridor, which is just, as like a classical music person, I was leaping out of my seat at that point because it's sticky, but I was just wondering, like, do you when it comes to like the rhythm of fights and that kind of thing, do you have any idea what the music will be over it, or is that just chosen by someone else once they've seen it?
It was pretty epic to hear the Ave Maria, so we didn't know about it, and that was such an epic moment. Yeah.
Yeah. When we talk about rhythm, it's more like, sorry, go.
No, please. You did the
when we talk about rhythm, we do we don't mean like rhythm like from the beats. It's more like if you do like a fight scene, it's always like this beat, pop, 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 like bam, 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 bam. That's kind of boring. So we always try to change it. So it's like pam, pa pam, pa pa pam, 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 pam.
It's like
so
music.
There's no like, yeah, but not like the song has like the same rhythm, the whole song. But in the fight choreo, we try to change it all the time, because then it looks more real, looks more interesting, and you don't have the feeling you go to the toilet, come back, and you didn't have missed something. If it's always the same rhythm, you think, you go away, come back, look to the, yeah, I didn't miss anything. So we wanted to make it interesting, and with a rhythm, it's let's say easy way to tell an interesting fight sequence. Like easy, it's not easy, but yeah.
Yeah, I noticed especially in the Mother Superior warehouse fight scene, the kind of flashback, the scene where she's the halo bearer at the time, and I really noticed that there was some hits that very kind of really like nicely match the beat. So it's interesting to know whether a song is, if you're aware of a song that's going to be played over the fight beforehand, or if it's just kind of picked afterwards, and the kind of, I suppose, beats per minute or the rhythm is going to be kind of somewhat similar. But it's really cool, and it's very satisfying when the fight scenes hit on beats and stuff like that. It's really cool.
I mean, what's really cool in the show is that usually, like Kai said, we do the fight choreographies and we have our rhythm in the fight choreography, and then sometimes in the edit the rhythm gets completely destroyed because you have so many cuts within the fight that the rhythm we had in mind is gonna, like, it's gone. But here we had so many long nice shots, and yeah, that they really could keep it. So the whole ground structure of Kai's idea from Hannes in the Mother Superior fight against Terrace in that case really stays the same from what the original idea from our side was. But music-wise, it goes all out to the composer, I think.
Yeah, props to the composing team and the post team from Netflix. They did a very good job.
Yeah, they
very
did.
Good.
That, like, just on that scene of that particular fight scene with Mother Superior, and it's one of my favorites. I think it's just, she had a lot of badass fight scenes in season 2.
Oh my God, yeah.
And she's amazing.
I think Mother Superior was my favorite character. I think that was my favorite character, Mother Superior.
She was working also hard. She came in the first day in the workshop and she trains like, okay, I definitely got to come off more often. And
is a lot of the stuff Sylvia doing her own stunts as well?
She did a lot.
She did, also, a lot.
And she had an amazing dance partner as well for the lead terrorist, Sebastian. He's also amazing. So,
that particular fight scene for her, like, she obviously kind of has all the characters kind of have their signature style, and her seems to be her kind of cane, which doubles as a sword. But then obviously in that instance, she was using the divinium sword. So how was it choreographing that particular scene? Because she very much yielded that sword, and there was a few spins around her back that I saw and stuff like that. So it was it looked like a very technical scene. All of them are technical. But
I think so. I think this is the fight I wasn't involved so much, and all the props are going to Hannes, Mirko, Joe, Vanessa, Zadika. Yeah, Zadika. She plays Sister Dora. She was incredible, amazing. And I remember I was helping with the first part, and then I had to go to set. Lee was on set already, so we left the responsible for that fight to our team. But the good thing is, like, we had a lot of trust in them, and luckily everyone was happy. And yeah, I think personally this was my favorite choreo, and I was not involved in. So all the props to the team, really.
Cool. It was very cool.
All the props to the team. Yeah, and of course the performers were like amazing.
I don't know if you guys obviously weren't too involved in that particular fight scene, maybe you wouldn't be able to answer this, but obviously it's kind of shown or told that in the first season mostly that whoever has the halo kind of has slightly different powers for each person. And I've seen a lot of people being super interested in the fact that one of Mother Superior's or powers was this kind of shield. So I don't know if you guys know if that was something that was written in the script, or something that you guys as the stunt coordinators came up with as being a kind of one of her unique gifts when she had the halo, or was it, as I said, was it written in the script?
That was in the script.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, in the script was written not a shield, that the bullets melt
bullets.
before. She's melting bullets before it touched her. That was written in the script, and we had the idea like she melts bullets, and the hot, iron is there, and we throw someone with a face through the hot iron. That was actually our plan, but
that would have been cool.
too expensive,
Time.
I guess. And then it was the shield.
No, it was a really cool effect, and I think a lot of people thought it was a really cool like thing for her to have that was different when she had the halo. So yeah,
the shield was very surprising, even for us. Yeah.
Okay, so talking about the visual effects there, how like what are the difficulties of incorporating the stunts with the visual effects? Because obviously, like, there's quite a lot going on with that kind of thing.
The visual effects team, super nice guys, Winston and Bernie, and I think at some point we were a bit pain in the ass for them. Because every time we said, no, we want to have a knife there, no, someone's dying there, and he's getting like a leg ripped off or something, and someone was like, guys, we really need to have a look at the budget.
I'm sorry, guys.
But obviously Kai has an idea, or Hannes or Mirko or me, and or Kuko also, and then we pitch it, and then they say, yeah, okay, we can do it or we can't. But actually the answer was always yes, which was amazing.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
In the end they wanted to do even more. I remember that I heard that at a little fight they had even more ideas, but then I think the budget in the end was a bit tight. Next season.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the fandom is going wild with the billboards. It's amazing.
We're determined. We are. Just to kind of, I suppose, pick up on what Coco said there, and bringing in the kind of incorporating practical things rather than obviously visual effects or something that's done in post. Yeah. So how do you guys go about devising, kind of incorporating the physical environment? Obviously, you mentioned that you worked with Jackie Chan's stunt team, and like he's quite synonymous with integrating his environment, jumping through things, going under things. Like, how did you guys go about thinking about the scene and how you could use the scene to kind of motivate the fights?
Yeah, I think we always got to have a look at the scenery. So in the church, obviously we broke the benches because it makes sense to have benches in there. And we look at the scene and think of, okay, what obstacle would be cool here to use, and then also how to use an obstacle in a, like Jackie Chan, in a different way that you would think of the object and the obstacle. And but to be honest, for all the choreography, that's up to Kai's mind and to Hannes in that case.
Yeah, normally, yeah, we look at the what Lee said. What is there? What can we use? And then we have to ask with the props. Have to ask the props. Hey, is it possible to use, let's say, the Bibles in the church, or is it possible to have new weapons? I remember that in season 1, Beatrice had this little things on her wrists where she broke the glass, and I thought, okay, it's in her costume. I remember, we can use it in the church as well. So when after she got thrown to the ceiling, or what was it? The scaffold, yeah, and then the guy picks her up, and then I thought, okay, maybe she can reject her little iron bars and then stick it into the like vital points. But then, like on the day, it was like, oh no, we don't have that, and because I just thought, oh, it's on her costume, but it wasn't. So I had to totally forgot to speak with the props. So we just did, okay, just do normal hits to the arm before kicking this guy into the bench. So there were a lot of things we weren't aware of, or I wasn't aware of, and a lot of things that we could see on location, or they say the production gave us like pictures how the environment will look like, and we always try to use some stuff from the environment, because if you just fight without any environment, it looks always a bit staged, I would say. And we try always to, I think every stunt team tries to involve like as much as possible. Yeah.
Speaking of benches, I heard that there was 4 and one accidentally got broken.
Oh God, I still have the voice message from Brad. Oh,
So
God.
can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, we had like, I know.
I won't say any names to blame anyone, but someone from a bit of a higher rank position was sitting on one of the benches.
Was it Simon?
No, it wasn't Simon.
Damn it.
I still have that voice message from the SFX guy.
Yeah, that was funny. Well, but it was
But
very
therefore,
crowded,
there was, for example, if we would have had more benches, because Jack really wanted to go through the bench, and we said, okay, you can do it. But then when one of the benches broke, and I think there 2 actually broke, so we had only 2 left or 3 left. And Jack still wanted to do it, but in that case, we said, okay, no, Mirko will do it, because we really got to make sure that we have this take. I think only 2 benches were left in the end. On
the topic of the church scene, like it's kind of become a fan favorite fight scene from season 2. Obviously, it being a oneer, a continuous shot. So how did you guys go about tackling the task of coming up with the one shot, and obviously doing the blocking for it, the timing for it, coming up with, obviously there's 3 technically, 3, Miguel or Michael, Ava and Beatrice, like 3 characters that you obviously have to incorporate and jump between as kind of seamlessly as possible. So how did you guys approach coming up with the choreography for that?